So today we are doing career exploration, and I know a few of the YVAC members have started sharing some of their interests in careers. And so we're just going to talk about a little bit of things to think about while you're looking at which career you might like to choose. And then at the end, we're going to talk about different pathways to get to your dream career or your career hope. My name is Karen Solms, and just real quick, we're all going to introduce as we start our sections. I am the business operations manager at Deering Estate, which is part of Miami-Dade County Park Recreation and Open Spaces. What's interesting about that is I work for the county, but my property is owned by the state of Florida, so I actually have to report to both agencies on everything that we do, especially on the financial side of things. So that is where I am now. I started my career pathing at University of Florida with zoology and environmental science, moved on, yep, go Gators, started and had an internship at Canaveral National Seashore, so right next to Cape Canaveral, doing sea turtle research, and fell in love with it, fell in love with having sand in between my toes and being out on the beach at first light. And decided that is actually what I wanted to do. So I went into my master's degree at Nova, doing marine biology, and I was able to get a position with Dade County Park and Recreation Open Spaces with the sea turtle program. And that's where I figured I was going to be. My life was going to be sea turtle research, and it ended up going in all different directions, and I became what we call a naturalist. Dealing with all the nature recreation resources. So I did nature-based recreation, kayaking, canoeing, snorkeling, scuba diving for the visitors that come to Dade County as well as residents. And I also became an interpreter, not a language interpreter, but a nature interpreter. So I was the one who was explaining all of those little things that you saw everywhere that you maybe didn't understand what a nudibranch was, or the sea stars that you saw out in the water at Crandon Park, or what you saw up at Reynolds Park. So that's kind of how I started my career. And then as careers sometimes go, which we'll talk about, I decided I was interested in continuing to stay with the parks. But the way for me to move up was to change my pathway. And I gave it a chance to go into finance and business management, which was never my plan as a marine biologist. And I have fallen in love with what I'm doing now. So sometimes you don't always know where you're going to go, and that's okay. It's okay to change, right? I would say I'm not at my midlife crisis yet, as some people put it, but that's sometimes when people go, why am I doing what I'm doing? I want to change. And it's okay to change many different times. The idea is always to love what you do, because then you truly aren't working, right? Every day. So some of the things that might push you towards your thoughts of careers is you've seen a movie where all of a sudden that looked glamorous, right? Whatever they were doing in the movie and the TV show that they have practiced that are not their profession, you might think is the best profession or interest to you. Sometimes friends will say, you're really good at this, you should do that, right? Sometimes you have life interactions, like being at a doctor's office or going and dealing with someone in a profession where you feel that interaction really is what you want to pursue. And then sometimes you get influence just from family members, parents, siblings, cousins, any of those. But the main thing that we're going to talk about is all of those different influences on your life. You are seeing just a small portion of what they're able to share with you. And so really making sure you get the information that you want to decide that career path, not just that one interaction or the one thing that you saw in a movie or a show. So there's really 3 stages for career exploration that we're going to talk about. There's stage 1, which is determining your interests, some of what we just talked about. Your self-assessment. You know yourself the best. You know what you're good at. You know what you like. You know what sparks your passion. You know what makes you happy. Those are all things to really consider when you're trying to figure out what you want to do, and needing to know that energy that's going to bring that drive every day when you go into work. Stage 2 is your career research, discovering what your career could be. More than just the small influences that you've had. And then stage 3 is really doing that planning to get to where you want to be. So our stage one is, like I said, just finding out the things that really make you happy, the things that you would be able to do. You already probably started thinking of things that your values, the skills that you have, some of the traits or characteristics, things that people may have already said about you. You are a people person, you're not a people person, you're an animal person. All of those different kind of characteristics that people label each other with are sometimes your traits. Your leadership style. Do you want to be a supervisor, a boss, the boss of others? So those are all the basic things for really determining what your interests are and what your self-assessment is. There's different examples of self-assessments. The most popular ones is the Myers-Briggs assessment, which everyone is going to get a chance to do as part of your graduation package. And the Holland personality is another one, but there's many different ones that really kind of pinpoint through some different questions that they ask what you might be really interested in and helping you get in that direction, or just even some of your main traits that would distinguish things that you would have maybe an interest in. The second is stage two, discovering your career. So this is where I say do your research. And research can be done from everything from getting paid with a part-time job, possibly even an internship. Sometimes internships have pay involved, all the way down to volunteering or networking with others. And networking can lead into mentorship and ways that you're going to get a chance to maybe be able to try it, see it, get into, if you want to be in a science lab or getting into a doctor's office or any of those type of positions. Networking will give you those avenues to ask the questions that you would maybe not know or be able to find the answers for easily. So it's either getting your hands in there, getting to see the different things through internships and jobs. Also, the volunteering may also help with your assessment. What are you drawn to do volunteering? I volunteer for Girl Scouts, and I've always done Girl Scouts and different things that have to deal with youth. So I always knew that was a passion of mine to deal with. But those are things to figure out, you know, where and what your career might want to be. And career exploration is kind of broken into 6 clusters. So we have our arts and communications, our business and management, health and medical services, human services, engineering and industrial services, and natural resources. So if you think right now, there's probably the career that you might be looking at, or for those that are already in a career pathing, fit into one of these clusters. And these can kind of help you narrow down if you are interested in figuring out networking, because pretty much all of these will have networking groups in the community. We're going to hopefully get some more interaction with the Miami Chamber of Commerce, and each of them have different clusters as well. So that'll all help to get that information that you're looking for that career exploration. So really, the ultimate plan for planning is you want to find that career sweet spot, right? You want to find the thing that's going to make you happy, get you excited to go to work every day, almost every day, we'll put it that way. There are days that no job will be happy. But really what your values are, what you really want to have that intersect, because that is the ultimate idea, is that you're going to get something that all of those little pieces will intermix and you'll get right into that center. So the percentage, it was interesting. I was doing some research for this. Over 80% of individuals will change their pathing once or more just before they even start their career. That's the first career that they're going into. So that's if you're already, you know, within the colleges, changing your major, changing your aspect of what you're looking for. And sometimes that is based upon having that internship. So if you have the opportunity to get your hands dirty in one of the fields that you're interested in, do it. Because I remember I didn't know back in high school, and I started working for a doctor's office, and I was very quick to say, nope, that's not for me. And if you ask all of us as your allies, I'm sure everyone has a story where they thought maybe this job would be for me. And then they had a chance to try it or really see it and went, that's a little different than I thought it was going to be. And trust me, you'd rather figure that out than once you've already started working and you might have been there for a while, keep going, oh, it's going to change. It's good. It's going to change. No, it's not going to change. Right. So you really want to try to get that first go as the right thing. So it's okay to change your major, but we're going to try to give you some tips on how to get you in the right direction, so you won't have to do lots of changes. So what we have now is we're going to talk about the different career paths. And our first one is Miss Davida.
Hello, everyone. So I'll give just a little brief bio about myself. So I did graduate from Florida State University. So of course I had to like crunch face when Karen was talking. But look, as long as you went to school, as long as you went somewhere, right? So I graduated from Florida State University with a bachelor's in industrial engineering. So I am an engineer by trade, and my style and personality gravitates that way. So it's a good fit for me. I did get a master's in engineering management from FIU while I was working for FPL. So FPL provides where they'll pay your tuition for continuing education. So that was a great benefit for me. So I was able to get my master's through FPNL. And I was an intern for FPL for 4 summers. And I will say my story might be a little bit the opposite. I'm sorry, Patrick's comment popped up on me to distract me. But a little reverse story of interning is, well, I interned because it was a way for me to come home to Miami every summer and make pretty good money back then. I want to say, I think they were paying me like $15 to $20 an hour, which in college, that's a lot of money, right? And I never thought I would come to work for FPL. I never thought I would come back to Miami. But as life would have it, my father took ill and passed away while I was in college. And I had a younger brother that was in high school. And I was like, well, I should go back home to help my family. But the internships I had from FPL basically secured me a job here. So, you could have the reverse experience where you do something just like on a whim, and then it really works to your favor. And now here I am 21 years later, I'm still with FPNL. So the internship thing can really make a difference for you, as Karen mentioned. So most of you all are already in college. So I'm just going to talk briefly about college, and then we'll expand in some other areas. So going to college or in a university, right? It demonstrates that you have the ability to master a discipline. Investors, employers, anyone that you reach out to that you want to invest in you, right? So if a person hires you or they invest in your business, a lot of you have a lot of entrepreneurship skills. You want to start your own businesses. It tells an investor or a bank or anyone else, hey, they have some discipline about themselves. They can take a task from completion to end. It doesn't say you're smarter than anybody else. It doesn't say, you won't make mistakes or anything like that, but it shows that you have the ability to learn, master a subject, and have some kind of discipline, right? So I think that's one of the big things that you get out of attending university that a lot of people kind of write off the importance of it. So then you have your bachelor degree graduates earn up to 65% more per year, right? That's a big difference in income. So just if you take the everyday person that graduated from high school and someone who just got a degree, regardless of what field the degree is in, right? Because you'll hear lots of stories where people majored in one thing, but they went into a different field. But it's still going to give them the benefit of having that degree, right? Showing someone that they had the ability to learn something. And with that, they're going to earn more money. Next, it makes your a career much more successful for you. You will get to a place in most companies, most businesses, that they're going to have a standard that says you're going to have some kind of degree or accreditation to move on. And it doesn't mean you can't do the job and that you can't do the job well, but someone has decided that that's the qualification of that position. Right. So it makes it easier for you to keep getting promoted, to take on more tasks, to get more money, because at the end of the day, all those promotions put more money in your pocket. And that's the goal. The next one, it makes retirement more comfortable, right? Because like at my company, and most of us can speak to, we have a pension here, right? So I have someone this company is putting money away from me when I retire that I don't have to put away, right? Then we have a 401k plan and we have 7% match. So I put in a max on my 401k here, right? So I'm putting in about 18, 19%, but my company matches 7%. So the amount of money I've been able to appreciate into my investment is much greater than if I had my own business and I had to just put away the extra money that I had and still live off of it. So it makes your retirement more comfortable. It also makes healthier living. And why do you say that, right? You have insurance. When you're out there on your own, you become more limited, right? In the providers that you can go to get care. It also allows you to take off. When you hear a lot of the stories or you watch some of the things on TV about people who had medical conditions, but they work hourly jobs where they don't have benefits, it is difficult to make a decision. Am I going to go to the doctor today? Right? I get sick time. If I don't feel well for 3 or 4 days, I cannot come to work and take the time to get myself to feel better or go seek medical treatment, right? I've had employees here that have had to be out for a month, 2 months. They're still getting paid. If you are not in a profession or a field that allows that, then now you're making a decision on how are you getting your income versus are you able to take care of yourself and make yourself feel better, right? So that's a big difference when you have a degree. It allows you the opportunity to get jobs that can accommodate you like that. And then the last one, it makes family life more comfortable, right? Because you have vacation time, you have sick time. Some companies have where we have SAF, where if a family member gets sick, you can tend to them, right? And you still have income. You still have a way to provide for yourself. You can take vacations, right? The income that you made, that's 65% more, allows you to take vacations. Plus you have the days where you're still getting paid. So all in all, those are just some of the benefits of attending a college or university.
So I loved hearing everyone, the presenters, Karen and Davida, sharing your backgrounds, and it's going to be interesting how ours are very different, right? So I, in high school, I was a good student. I was a good subject student. I could learn and regurgitate and take tests really well. So I couldn't really quite tell you that I knew what I wanted. I thought I did. And I majored in microbiology with an automatic minor in chemistry, at the University of Florida. And wow, I did not end up going into microbiology or sciences. I ended up working with our family business, which is in trade schools education. But what was interesting was what I learned, the skills that I learned there absolutely helped me, in my career. Absolutely, microbiology with an automatic, I'm going to use the word because I didn't choose chemistry, it chose me by taking microbiology. And it was really hard. It was difficult. And I didn't like it, but I didn't like it, but I did like getting A's. So I had to really commit, and so it taught me perseverance. It taught me, a lot of good study habits, right? Which then later went to work ethic, correct? And it also taught me, different skills, right? As what we talked about. When I got into working for the family business, of course, my father was my CEO, and he paid me right out of college. I'm not even going to tell you because I'm still insulted till this day. It wasn't even a salary; it was a per hour. Number one, and it was something which he taught me the biggest lesson, and I didn't know it until many years later. But he taught me not to. I don't think he knew he was teaching me this. I think, I learned it. But what he taught me was to not associate my self-worth with a salary, you know? And so it wasn't for me about how much money I made, but what I can do with the role that I was given, and in a family business, I was, basically moved up in, during the next 20 years, I moved up. I became a CEO at one point. I recently stepped down in January of 2020. But it taught me not to, again, associate myself with salary. If you want to ask me off the table, I'll tell you what he gave me at the beginning. You'll all be shocked and awed. But of course, as soon as I moved out of their house, when I moved back to Miami, guess what he did? He raised my salary, of course, because I'm no longer living under his roof, so I need more money. But again, hence the pitfalls of working for a family business. So my career exploration was very different, right? Because fortunately, I did love education. I did love the advocacy. I was there when my father started the business, so I had a real special place, for our business. But I did have to learn leadership outside of the organization because being a boss's daughter was a very difficult thing to, a place to learn leadership in. So, as per what Karen was saying, volunteering, being part of the community, I was president of the Gator Club of Miami. Go Gators. So I ended up learning how to be part of committees at an early age in my 20s, again, to be able to know how to get the teamwork in a business that wasn't, right, a family business. So I took the road less traveled, in that sense. I did not end up again pursuing career in science, microbiology. For those of you who wondered, yes, my track was pre-med. It was, being in obstetrician, OBGYN. And then when I volunteered in hospitals, I said, I don't want to be here all day. This is not my environment. I don't like it. It wasn't me. So that's the whole point of why we're having this conversation today, right? Is that career exploration. And one of the things I did not do was skills match, right? I didn't do those things that we're, asking and putting in front of all of you. I think it's very important. My personality changed during college. I started associating with different groups of people. I started exploring my leadership. I started exploring my social skills. So I didn't realize what I was really good at until I started working. But there are ways to explore those areas. Now, my topic today is continuing education, trainings, and opportunities. So I love this phrase that I found, this quote by Kirill Korishkov. He's not here, so if I, massacred his name, he wouldn't know any better. He's a Russian musical artist, and he says, never stop learning because life never stops teaching. You will find yourself having planned out, right, your career, but then the economy takes a shift. Something happens in your personal life, or life hits you a curveball, and it could be a good curveball or a bad curveball, right? So you always need to be prepared. So never stop learning. And that's something I know that I learned from my father. When I got my bachelor's, he goes, when are you going to get your master's? When I got my master's, when are you going to get your PhD? Never stop learning. But that doesn't always mean just a degree. It could mean other things. So in the next slide, I wanted to introduce, for all of you to start thinking about, certifications. Certifications never beat experience, right? Experience is key, but they help. What an employer wants to know is that you're interested and a learner. So I wish that earlier in my 20s, I took leadership classes, right? I was involved. I would have, oh my goodness, I would have saved myself years and probably others of anguish, right? And misery. So if you have that opportunity, and right now online, there's so many places I didn't put anywhere because there was such a broad. So when I spoke to recruiters, when I spoke to HR people, I even spoke, oh my God, his name, the chair right now of the Human Resource Committee of the Chamber of Commerce, Jonathan, Jonathan Ross, who owns his own recruiting firm. And he was actually at our focus session for Leadership Miami this past, I think, weekend. We spoke about these certificates, and of course, the certificates that are going to be the most important are relative to your field, whatever it is that you choose in your chosen field, because there's many certificates in that area. But the ones I mentioned here are things to add to your portfolio, that you'll never know when it comes in handy, or it kind of piques an interest in a future hiring supervisor or HR, individual. So a leadership certificate, sales certificate, team, life is sales. Allies, life is sales. Everything involves sales. This is a website, and I know we're going to send you these PowerPoints for references, so you'll have all of this. You know, this is one that actually was involved in, and I could recommend it. Absolute Sandler Sales, and they teach you how to connect with people, because remember, business and whatever work you do, it doesn't matter what you choose as a career, it's a business. Never forget. And sales is business, and business is sales. Okay, how you sell yourself, how people sell themselves, right? And how you're able to influence. Project management, very important. I think it was Adonis that you had mentioned something about time management, or a few of you have also mentioned about. Well, project management, if you're looking to grow, right, in leadership or in a department, that is a very useful tool to be able to know how to, for those of us who are actually good at multitasking, well, that's one way to prove it, right? How to get your team together, how to get coordination. Human resources certificate, you know, that's something that it's always good to have in your pocket if you have that opportunity. It teaches you more than what you would just think about, you know, hiring, recruiting. It also teaches you a lot about law. You know, I know as a CEO, I had to deal a lot with legal situations. And even though I did have an HR, my personality type is I like to know as well. You know, I'm somebody who I like to be informed as well, just in case, because at the end of the day, the buck stops here, right? So I wanted to make sure that we were making, so that was something that I actually was planning on attaining. Teaching certificate, we've all heard it, you know, fallback, right? You know, if you always have the opportunity, I think it's actually, I have a few friends, 2 engineers and 1 architect that actually got their teaching certificates, you know, and in their life when they needed, you know, to utilize it, and they have, because, and then 1 actually became a science teacher after their career. They actually became a science teacher, and he actually loves it. He's in Georgia right now, and he loves being a science teacher because he got tired of the corporate world, you know. So you'll never know when you can utilize something. And then of course, industry specific certifications, as I said, you know, we got software, we got Google certifications, IT certifications. So I think you all understand the point is, you know, you can always continue learning. Next slide. So this is one thing that I would like to offer everyone. Paulina Velez from the youth co-op, you know, which is under the career source of South Florida. She presented this tool to our organization many years ago. It's called the Olmeda Online Career Tools and Resource Center. If you go on it, it is a monster. It's a beast. Don't get scared, okay? It is overwhelmed. You know, talk about too much information. Well, it has everything. It has everything for you to explore. Job analysis, right? If you wanted to create a job description, if you want to, you know, so depending on what your position is, but for our allies, for example, you can look at it to try to see and think ahead. Remember, we said for career exploration, it's all about planning. All right. It's all about planning. You can look up salaries of specific jobs. You can look up comparative salaries. You know, if you wanted to have this title, how much would it make in this title or this specific job, or look at related fields. Because let's say, okay, so let's say for me, I wanted to be an OBGYN, but I said, you know what, it's too much. You know, I can't afford med school. I don't want to go that far. So I can see related fields that maybe may not have been an OBGYN, but it's something in the related areas. Or I could also see how I can scale up. Does that make sense to everyone? How to scale up? What other jobs, right? What jobs can be connected so that at the end of the day, at the end of the road, I can get to this career goal. Again, this is a monster site, and I gave you some really important links here, and it's free. You know, that's the key word. It's free, and it does all the searching for you. You just have to be curious and know how to get into it and know what to ask for. But I think it's definitely something for you all to have in your, you know, resource box to utilize, because again, career exploration, it's all about thinking ahead and planning ahead. So also a part of this section that I wanted to bring to the group is an awareness. Know that the Career Source of South Florida is a regional, right, agency. What they do is they provide training and job placement to those individuals who are either underserved, low income, unemployed, or need additional skills based on workforce trends. So this is a place that you must know exists. You never know when you could utilize them, when you could, when you need them. The link below the title basically takes you to the statewide, right? To the career source of the state of Florida, their strategic plan. If you just want to get to know a little bit about what the organization really does and what their strategic plan thinking. So this is like, for you learners who really want to get to know about them. But the regional, right, the regional agency organization is Career Source of South Florida. Now currently their website is down. I did put it in the tab, but they got hacked. They got majorly hacked. What happened was, now I believe at the end of April, they're finally going to bring their website back up, but it's full of information. So I wanted to give you an example of what Career Source, how it's been useful for our community. I'm definitely aging myself, but I don't know how many of you, or how old were you when 9/11 happened, right? When 9/11 happened, for example, there was a program that came about because it affected the airline industry. So there was a lot of displaced workers. What happened with 9/11? So there was a program called Operation Paycheck. And in Operation Paycheck, what they did is they had to retrain a lot of those displaced workers so they could find jobs. So they paid for their school, they paid for their whatever boot camps or certifications that they could attain to be able to find another job. So that's just an example of a program that, and like that, I'm sure there's been many others. There are adult and youth programs. The adult programs are for 25 plus, and the youth is between 16 to 24. Now, you can either be in school, so even if you're going to Miami-Dade or FIU, you can still get funding if you're eligible. There are, of course, eligibility requirements. You can be working and still, qualify as well, or unemployed. Now, schools like myself, trade schools and other types of schools, we're school providers. For example, our teachers have gone to companies or we've given boot camps at our locations for QuickBooks, for Microsoft Office, for accounting, for A+ certification, for IT certifications. And they're free to the participants, right? The ones who pay us is the vendor, which is whatever vendor that Career Source South Florida is working with. Okay, so this is something that our community sometimes doesn't know how to market very well. And one of the things that you can do to see if you're eligible, which more than likely you are, either for the youth programs that they have or the adult ones. And again, it doesn't matter if you're going to school, is they have like a hard time marketing this, right? This is why you don't see it a lot. So remember how in one of our sessions for grants and scholarships, they stated that, a lot of times the grants and nobody qualifies or nobody, gets them, it's because they didn't market them enough. Well, this is kind of similar, so a lot of times it's very challenging to be able to get people's awareness that we're having these boot camps, or we're having these, or that these agencies are offering this free training, right, for those who are eligible. Now, what's the best way to know? There's a lot of centers and locations depending on where, what area you live in. All you have to do is Google Career Source Miami-Dade or Career Source Monroe, depending on where you live. And then you can look at, the closest location to you, and you can go there in person and basically just speak with an advisor, and they will tell you. Now, they help with things other than school. They also help welfare services, well-being services. They're a full stop agency, and I do believe that many people, again, don't know of their existence, and something that, we're trying to definitely expand as a community. So the youth co-op is also part of the Career Source South Florida. So they can speak with about both adults and youth programs. Okay. And then now the youth co-op, their website is up, right? Their website is working, fortunately. One of the things that they do have that is valuable is also internships. Remember, they're like a job placement agency because their goal is job placement. they want to employ, right? They want to employ the community. And they have internships as per Davida was saying about, how one foot in the door of an internship gave her her whole career. Well, they also have these connections with big businesses, you know. So it is definitely worth something to, if it's not an immediate need now, just, my goal here was to make you aware that, this organization exists for you. Okay. And that you could always use it again, if you feel like you're underpaid, unemployed, or you're looking for free, training. So you have that. So I hope that was useful to everyone. Any questions? Okay.
Thank you.
No, you're welcome.
So now we have Jessica with military careers.
Good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me okay? All right, good. I'm outside. Okay. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about military careers. I'll go over the different branches. I think my story is a little bit different from everyone. I actually don't have a degree. I don't have an associate's degree, and I don't have a bachelor's degree. I have a lot of on-the-job training, a lot of continuing education, a lot of leadership training and different type courses, but college just, I wasn't motivated to go, and I wasn't motivated to have student loans. So when I was growing up, I'm from Connecticut originally. I did a lot of different jobs. I was a waitress. I taught water aerobics to senior citizens. I was a lifeguard. My father is a butcher in a local grocery store chain. So I ran the front end. I did kind of a lot of different things that involved people. I'm a really social person and a social butterfly. So I really knew that I wanted to choose a career path that involved people. And then at the same time, I would go to the beach a lot with my family when we were younger, and we would always drive by the Coast Guard Academy. It's a military academy in Connecticut. And for some reason, I was just fascinated by it. They have a Coast Guard cutter Eagle. It's a sail. It's just a sail ship. I don't know if you've ever seen it or if you're aware of it, but it's just beautiful. So I had these dreams since I was 10 years old. I was like, I'm going to join the Coast Guard. And no one in my family has ever been in the military. So it was quite different. So I went through high school, graduated high school. I did try to take a couple college courses, but like I said, it just wasn't my jam. So I kept busy, and I went to a recruiter when I graduated high school, and I got cold feet. They sat me down in a recruiting office, and they showed me a video of boot camp, and it's always entitled Just 8 Weeks because Coast Guard boot camp is just 8 weeks. And pretty much all of the diversity, who you are, you pretty much have to forget about that for 8 weeks and be able to conform with all these other individuals you've never met before, and eat with them in a regimented style, take communal showers, do an obstacle course, have them wake you up in the middle of the night, scream at you, yell at you. There's nothing beautiful about it either. I wore glasses, so you all wear the same glasses. You all wear the same clothes, PT gear. I actually slept with 2 pillows in boot camp because you're only supposed to sleep with one, but I ended up sneaking 2. But anyways, so I did the boot camp thing. I got cold feet. So I went back and I did a couple other things. I waitressed. And every time, so the first time I told my parents, so my parents were really excited about it. They were super supportive. So they were disappointed the first time. And then the second time I got into a car accident. And so typically when you join the military, you have to be medically cleared. There's a series of tests you have to go through, and you also have to take a vocational aptitude test, as well as do a duck walk and a bunch of other things. So needless to say, that time didn't work out either because they said I needed to go back to the doctor and get medically cleared. So the third time, I went back, and this time I didn't tell my parents about it. And it was around Christmas time. I don't know why, but I was so pulled to the Coast Guard for some reason. I don't know if it was because I love the water, or I just wanted to serve my country, do something like totally different and out of the box. And so I passed the medical exam and I passed the vocational aptitude test. And I told my parents on Christmas that year that I was shipping out to boot camp in March. So they were still super excited for me. I was a little secretive this time, you know what I mean? Because I wanted to prove to myself that I could do it. And I knew the third time that if it wasn't going to happen, it wasn't meant to be. So I guess that's just my little lesson there is never have any regrets and always be persistent with your gut feeling because it's usually right. So I went off to boot camp for just 8 weeks. It was difficult, I'm going to be honest, but it was the best experience of my life. I completely challenged myself. It was really hard to be difficult. It was really difficult and hard to be away from my family, but it worked out really, really well. And I've been in for about 12 and a half years now. So I joined as an E3, so in the military for the enlisted side of the house. It's E3 all the way up to E10, which is the command senior enlisted leader for the entire organization. So I'm an E6 right now, and I'll be promoting to an E7 next month, which is a chief petty officer. And then I also just put in an application to lateral over to the officer side of the house. And typically officers go through an accession program at the Coast Guard Academy. So that is also another option. And all of the military academies have those. So that's just a little bit about my background and where I've come thus far. Can you go to the next slide, please? Thanks, Karen. All right, so the United States Armed Forces. So we're the military forces of the United States of America, and the President of the United States is our commander-in-chief of the armed forces, and he forms military policy within the Department of Defense and the Department of Homeland Security. So most of the military branches all fall under the Department of the Defense, with the exception of the Coast Guard. So the Coast Guard is the one military branch that is under the Department of Homeland Security. And more often than not, folks don't realize that the Coast Guard is actually a military branch. So we are. You can go to the next slide, please. Okay, so here are our service branches. So we have the United States Army, the Marine Corps, the Navy, the Air Force. The Space Force is the newest service branch to the armed forces. And then I'm biased, but the best branch is the Coast Guard.
The Coast Guard 7th District, responsible for all Coast Guard operations in South Carolina, Georgia, the Florida Peninsula, Puerto Rico, and the entire Caribbean Basin, including the U.S. Virgin Islands and 32 other countries and territories. Encompassing an area of 1.8 million square miles, District 7 has the largest concentration of cutters and aircraft in the Coast Guard. We handle 1/4 of all the Coast Guard search and rescue cases and 2/3 of all law enforcement cases. District 7 includes 8 of the nation's largest container ports and has 4 large multi-day cruise ports in the world: Port of Tampa Bay, Port Everglades, Port Canaveral, and Port of Miami, along with 4 spaceports: Spaceport Camden, Cape Canaveral Air Force Station, Kennedy Space Center, and Cecil Airport. Being stationed in District 7, you'll experience a diversity of missions, from counter-narcotic operations to migrant interdictions, search and rescue, and protecting the living marine resources. Those are just a few of the unique opportunities you can experience while stationed in District 7. You'll be saving lives and witnessing unique federal, state, and local partnerships. We want you to expand your horizons. Find a home right here in District 7 so you can grow professionally and be a part of the best team in the Coast Guard. There's no place like the 7th because there's no crew like the 7th.
So I just wanted to take, I thought that was a cool video to share with you guys. At my first duty station, I did a lot of search and rescue and law enforcement. So pretty much we, thank you. I did a lot of search and rescue and law enforcement, and, we shoot guns and make sure that the waterways are safe. And if anything from, if there's a person in the water that needs to be saved, we save lives. That's our main mission. Or if there's, someone that's operating their boat under the influence, there's a ton of different things. And down here in South Florida, we do a lot of counter narcotics operations, and really make sure that we're guarding our ports and waterways safely. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. The GI Bill, so the military offers a slew of education benefits, and its largest one is the Montgomery GI Bill. So what that offers you, typically you have to serve at least 2 years. A first term enlistment on the enlisted side of the house is typically 4 years. You can do 4 or 6 and no less than 2. So with that, as long as you've served 2 years of active duty, you can do it on the reserve side of the house too. There are minimum day requirements, just a little different, but that's getting in the weeds. So it's 36 months that the government, it's a benefit that you have. So you have 36 months of tuition to use, and it's good for up to 10 years after you're not in the service anymore. So it's a huge benefit. And if you don't use it, you can also transfer it to your dependents. That's actually what I did. I'd like to get a degree someday, but I don't know if it's going to happen. And I have 4 kids, so I'm just going to hand it off to them. So you can do that. And then also, the military has a ton of continuing education benefits, a lot of what Monica talked about. So certifications, licenses, on-the-job training, vocational, college degrees, non-college degrees, you name it. The military, it's a great benefit that the service has. And then the 20-year time frame that Patrick is speaking to is, so if you serve in the military for 20 years, you're automatically entitled to a pension. And that's in addition to whatever your retirement paycheck is going to be. So in addition to that, depending on where you retire at, what tier and how much you're going to get per month, that pension is in addition to that. And that also comes with a bunch of other benefits. So if you can get through the hustle and bustle of 8 weeks and find something that you love, the military is really a great option. And one of the awesome things about it is if you're determined and you have the work ethic, you really can climb up that ladder very, very quickly, because there's really no one that holds you back from advancing and all the different things that you need to do. So if you're squared away, it's a good career path to go.
Thank you, Jessica. And our last presentation is by Ms. Elizabeth on starting your own business.
Hi, everyone. I'm going to make it short for the sake of time. And yeah, because we only have a few minutes left. So I'll introduce myself. My name is Liz Heno. I currently work for TD Bank. I've been working for TD Bank for about 14 years now. And the career that I have is not the career that I started off when I first started going to college. I actually wanted to become a teacher. But when I was working part-time at a clothing store, there was a customer that kept trying to recruit me for the bank. And I didn't really, I wasn't interested. And she kept, it was like almost a year. Finally, I gave in and I applied at the bank and I got the job. And I just loved it so much that I stuck to the bank, and I actually didn't finish my degree. So I actually don't have a college degree. I don't have an associate's nor a bachelor's. And I've grown through on-the-job learning, certifications, leadership roles that I was given the opportunity for. And it's been now 26 years in banking. So, and I actually still love it. So I'm gonna start with regard to how to start your own business. So next slide, please. So when you consider starting your own business, the most important thing that you have to do is make sure that you know what you're getting into, and that you don't skip any steps. You take things step by step before you jump into that. And the reason why I'm presenting this is because at a time when my husband and I decided to start our family, I did not want to work full time. I was thinking, I know I had to work, but I was trying to figure out what I can do to still have an income and be able to stay with my kids. So I decided to use my expertise with respect to mortgages and become a mobile notary closer. And that entailed me just going to businesses. I even ended up closing loans in hospitals and in jails, whatever. Any place that someone needed to sign documents to close a mortgage loan or home equity line, I would be there. And I did that for about 5 years, and it worked out very well. And before I got into that, I did some research. So we're going to go step by step as to what you would do and what you would ask yourself to start your business. So some of the questions that you must ask yourself, these are some, I know that there's plenty others. Is there a service needed in your community? Do you have a great idea for a product or service? And are you great at doing something? And you ask these questions to yourself because you want to make sure that you consider the skills and the resources you have to pick something that you want to do and do it with passion, because you want to enjoy what you do. So once you've asked those questions, you move on to your business plan. The business plan does not have to be intricate. It could be a 1-pager, a 2-pager, or if you want to get all fancy, you can do a 10-page business plan. It all depends on what it is that you're going to do. So in your business plan, you're going to start, you're going to describe what you're selling or what type of service that you're providing. And you're going to formulate the channels that you'll deliver the services to the customers. So how are you going to deliver it? Are you going to offer this online? Are you going to do it word of mouth, friends, family? And most importantly, the business plan, the most important part of it would be that you're planning your budget and your financials. How are you going to get this money? So you can't start a business without cash. You have to have some form of income. So that could be that you may not be able to let go of your current job until you've established some form of income to invest in your business. And there's multiple ways that you'll be able to fund your business. It could be from family and friends that want to give you a loan or want to just help you out with regard to your business. Or you can find an investor that is willing to invest in your idea. If they feel that you have a great idea and they're willing to invest, awesome. That'll be great. And also you can apply for a startup, small business startup loan through any financial institution. And they call those micro loans. And some of those loans range from $5,000 all the way to $100,000. So those are still considered microloans, even at the $100,000 level. And you can also, that I didn't mention on the slide, the crowd funding, or and also other organizations such as the Small Business Administration. And let's see here. And you definitely will spend a lot of time. If you really want to be self-employed, you're going to spend a lot of time, blood, sweat, tears. You're going to invest a lot of time in the business. If you want it to be a success, you might be working late nights. You might be with, for an example, with the business that I ran, I would be going out closing loans in the evening, so that my husband could watch the kids when I was out. Then when I got back, I would stay up late, just processing those documents, scanning them, prepping them to ship out and things like that. So, it wasn't easy, but it was worth it, because after a year of establishing myself, I started off with just 2 or 3 clients. I ended up having a total of 45, and I actually almost started a business on top of that business so that I could train other people, as you know, to be able to be a notary closer and hand those extra closings that I couldn't handle. But I was able to help about 10 ladies that I know within my, you know, network, and I was able to train them and help them to have, you know, their own business. But I told them that, look, I'm not going to charge you anything. I'm just going to send you business, and, you know, you do whatever you like from there. But just as long as you make sure that, you know, customer service levels are high and you make sure that things are done on time. So you never know where your business will take you and how it'll grow. So let's see. Let me go here. The next step with regard to your business, very important, is how are you going to structure your business? So how will you structure your business? So how are you going to set up your business? Are you going to have a sole proprietorship, which means that are you going to use your name solely as the business? So Lizbeth Heno, doing business as Lizbeth Heno. That's what a sole proprietorship could be. And you could also have a sole proprietorship using a fictitious name. And you would have to register that at sunbiz.org, which is the state website that you can form your business. And to give you an example of what a sole proprietorship is that basically sole proprietorship, you have full control of your business. And also you do have full responsibility if for some reason something happens with your business, you're personally held liable for any debts or anything. So that's the only, you know, negative part of that. And next is the partnership. Partnerships work just as a sole proprietor. The only difference is someone else takes on the burden of those debts in case something happens with the business. And also, they will be splitting the ownership of the business. So whatever profits, you'll be splitting that with your partners. And LLCs, those are limited liability companies. It provides you with liability protections of a corporation, and it still gives you the tax benefits of a sole proprietorship. And anytime that you have, you know, taxes come to mind, always consult with an accountant or a tax preparer so that you could be ready to, you know, at the end of the year, put everything together so that you don't miss things that you can deduct from your taxes and things like that. But always consult a tax professional for that. A corporation, moving on, a corporation is another option, and it separates your liability from that of the company. Okay, so basically incorporating can provide a lot of benefits. You know, it'll protect your personal wealth, and it also can open up more doors for funding, such as, you know, more access to capital. And for a corporation, an LLC, and a partnership, it's a definite a must to have an EIN number, and that's an employee identification number, also known as a TIN number. And I provided some links for sunbiz.org, where you can structure your business, and irs.gov, so that you can actually register for a EIN/TIN number, and also the Small Business Administration government website, which you will find a whole bunch of diverse loan options that you can apply for so that you could start up your business. And depending on the type of business, very important, you should have business insurance, and you would find that through your, you should have a business license depending on your business, and you'll find that information via a local municipality or a state department of regulation, depending on the type of business that you are conducting. And consider business insurance depending on the type of business that you have. And most importantly, make sure that you establish a separate bank account for your business, because that will separate your personal transactions from the business transactions. And at the end of the year, you won't have an accounting issue that you're trying to figure out, okay, what was business, what was, personal, and you'll be able to have a smoother tax preparation.
I do have some just kind of little tidbit facts, or I guess reminders from the Brighter Tomorrows that they wanted to share in reference to career exploration. And they're learn, no matter the job or position, you can learn from it. Remember that it's a wild ride and not all paths are clear and straight. Keep an open mind. You might end up in a career you never thought you would and ended up loving it. Money shouldn't be your driving passion. Enjoy what you do. Goes a long way. Do what makes you happy. Career growth is not always a linear path to the top. Sometimes we have to make lateral moves or even take a step back to get where we want to be, and get exceptionally good at something you enjoy or are passionate about. It pays to be great at what you do. So those are just some closing remarks for our career exploration.